March 25th, 2025. Well, an interesting development here that we're noticing is this whole brouhaha that came up because of the issue of the kind of group chat between the key national security figures in the Trump administration. And basically, well, it was on a Signal chat, and essentially they inadvertently somehow, or supposedly somehow, Jeffrey Goldberg of the Atlantic, a very left-wing oriented magazine, has somehow got on the distribution list of this thing, and and so this has led to one of these normal little brouhaha you have in Washington. In a way, it is potentially serious, and there's a variety of aspects of it which I don't think that has been discussed a lot here that I'd kind of like to bring up a little bit. One thing is that first of all, it is an encrypted app, so it probably is fairly secure. And so, although it's not officially recognized, and it's unclear what level of information was discussed and what actual classification level it has to be held at. I mean, you know, and sometimes almost anything presidential kind of starts off at the top secret level and then gets downgraded as people review it for, significance and all that kind of thing. It's sort of like in the world, when you're in a secure facility, if you have a printer, everything that comes off the printer is initially at the top security level the printer is authorized for, and then it needs to be marked to the actual level of, whatever it is, secret, confidential, unclassified, whatever. And so after it's taken off, and at that point it can be properly, handled. But initially it comes off so in a sense I can see that point. I don't know, when they talk about operational details, was there anything that, I guess if anybody had been listening in, that would be a problem. Of course, the real mystery to me is how did this happen in the first place? I mean, this Jeffrey Goldberg character, okay, apparently Mike Waltz is the one that set this up. So the issue I'm raised is less that what actually happened than, well, why did he have Jeffrey Goldberg's phone number readily available? As I understand it, the Signal app is based on your cell phone numbers, and then having the app, and then you put that into people that are into this. So, what was he previously communicating with Jeffrey Goldberg on Signal? See, that'd be the concern I would have if I was President Trump, anyhow, hearing about this more than any other thing. I mean, ever so often something sensitive does leak by happenstance, and the punishment generally is depending on whatever the authority over you wants to do. In this case, that would be President Trump, and so it's his call. But on the other hand, we've paid a price to get this Michael Waltz in this job. I mean, we've lost a House seat over it. We're now having a special election on April the 1st, which hopefully we'll win. I think we will. I don't really know what the status of it is. I haven't seen any credible polling on it, but I think it's a pretty strong Republican district. But a lot of money, I believe, is being spent on it, which itself is an interesting issue. So if he's valuable enough to go through that for, I think he's valuable enough to overlook one mistake. So anyway, but if you like these videos, give me a like, subscribe, and you can also click the bell for notifications, and or you can follow me on Rumble, and the address of that's in the description below. So yeah, I think that this calls the firm to be fired is probably overdone. But the thing where I would say Trump, I'm just kind of wondering, is this Jeffrey Goldberg on his contact list? I mean, how did he have that number? I mean, has he been talking to this guy? And if so, what have they been talking about? I mean, that's the concern I would have on it more than anything else. I've heard from that the word is out from people such as the people who are on the Judge Napolitano show. I forget the name off the top of my head. The guy, the shirt guy. He was saying sometime back that that we do have a government encrypted app for communications that's officially approved, but that's been compromised by the Chinese, according to him. And so I can see that might be one of the reasons why they're using a commercial app instead, which is probably secure enough for practical purposes, even if it kind of, quote, breaks the rules. And of course, wherever you are in the pecking order sometimes depends on. I mean, obviously, I guess if Pam Bondi wanted to go after him and show her independence and prosecute him for a security violation, maybe she could do it. But I have a funny feeling she's not going to do it. I just sort of think that, So I think he's probably safe unless Trump is simply disappointed. But I do think that I am kind of curious about, why he had that number so readily available. I mean, or is it possible something else went wrong here? I don't know. I mean, maybe some kind of subterfuge. I mean, maybe somebody sent him some kind of an email with some malware in it that somehow put this guy's number up there so it would be easily infiltrated. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the case, but I think before anybody gets fired, we really need to get to the bottom of how this really happened. But beyond that, assuming it's innocent enough and that Mr. Waltz is a loyal trooper, then I don't see any reason to go any further with it than that. Democrats want to and then just be careful this doesn't happen again. I mean, make sure you know who's on that list, okay? But remember, probably all you're seeing is a number, so, at any rate. Well, at any rate, so that's enough of that, but I do think it's an interesting thing to consider. And the fact that the official app may have been compromised may be why they're using that. Okay. On other topics, I guess the negotiations have been ongoing between the Russians and the Ukrainians in Saudi Arabia, and I understand there was a 12-hour meeting with the Russians that was quite detailed and lengthy. So we'll see how things are going. There's still optimistic talk, and while the domestic front is getting mad at Russia, I believe that it's Ukraine that's been still attacking energy infrastructure while this has all been going on, rather than Russia. And since that original discussion in Moscow happened. So, I still get the feeling that Ukraine is maybe trying to sabotage this whole peace effort. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I also understand why, being run out of this whole thing in Kursk, they're now trying another invasion of the form of internationally recognized Russian territory. If they're close to a ceasefire, why are they even playing with that and losing troops doing it? Okay, I mean, it's hard to know, but I'm very suspicious. I'm actually in a lot of ways more suspicious of the Ukrainian side in that I think that they really want to keep this going, whereas I think the Russians would probably like an exit strategy, but they probably want it on their terms, and that's the problem we have with them, is that I don't know that territory is their main demand anymore than it is certain conditions in the relationship between the United States, Ukraine, and Russia be developed, and that's where we have a problem. And so, that they are. But anyway, so that's kind of where we are at the moment on that. There may be breaking developments at any moment. I guess it could really go either way, from what I know. So at any rate, that's kind of my comments for this time. I just wanted to kind of hit that the thing that I was mentioning is just why did that number get on there is more important than it did. I mean, if it was just some random number of I don't know, say Trump's press secretary or somebody like that maybe wouldn't need to have that information in that form, but or just somebody would normally, or maybe somebody's wife, or I don't know, whatever. It just seems to me kind of interesting that a really negative reporter would be the one that would somehow get there, and how that happened. So at any rate, I'll be wrapping this up for now, and I'll be posting this as always on YouTube and Rumble, and the address of my social media accounts are in the description below. So you can follow me there also in between videos to see what else I might be thinking about various topics. And in the meantime, everybody that has a Tesla, be careful, because the nut jobs are on the prowl, that's for sure.